So, welcome to Resting Pitch Face. We're going to be talking about a very special birthday that is coming up. 10 years of Flaunt Digital.
10 years. A decade.
A decade. So, it's a great opportunity to talk to you about what it's like setting up an agency, how 10 years has been.
Yep. Fast.
Yeah, can imagine. What you do differently, and maybe advice to anybody that's starting up or early on in the journey, or anybody that might be 10 years along.
Oh, God, yeah.
Yeah?
That's a big question.
I'll ask you an easier one to start with.
Okay, just break me any.
So, take us back to 2015. So, July 2015, that was when Flaunt officially started. I imagine the idea came around a little bit before that. Quite a lot before that. What did you imagine running Flaunt would look like at that point?
It's tricky. So, 2015, I think in 20... I started building a SaaS platform. Because I was I still am fairly obsessed with tech. So I wanted to build a SaaS platform because I thought that it was, to be honest, at the time, probably naively thought that it was easy to build a SaaS platform. Well, we did quite well, to be fair. Like, the product was good. We sold it in the end, which funded Flaunt. But at the same time, I was doing a bit of consultancy, but then I left Sticky Eyes, IPG, and picked up more consultancy for other agencies. So I consulting and working for people like Crowd, Jellyfish, and a couple of others. So I was doing that whilst building the SaaS platform. And then it got to the point where we started wanting to push the SaaS platform. It was me and Jay.
Yep.
Just me and Jay doing everything. To the point where we were starting to have discussions with investors. And I remember having a discussion with an investor with the platform. Had live users, probably like over 100 users at the time. It was getting thrown around in conversations as like a challenger for BuzzSumo, for example. And I remember having a conversation with the VC for the number 750 grand was floated around, which is not a small number.
No.
And I remember having a couple of conversations at that point with the platform where it was just me and Jay, and thinking, fuck, I don't want to do that.
Yeah. Why? Because it wasn't where, that's just not what you wanted to do for the next 10 years. That's not where your passion was.
It was just not the business that I wanted to carry forward to scale. And I think it was quite sobering having the magnitude of that amount of money floated in front of me. And I was like, fuck, no, I don't want to do that. So that meant that I took a step back and had a little think about it. And then I was like, right, I know agency very well. I know the services very well. I left an agency that was doing it bad. I could do better. How would I do it? And it started there, and I was like, all right, I could do this. And then when we first sort of set up, it was going to be a remote agency because that wasn't really a thing at the time. But then we quickly decided that wasn't going to be a thing. And then we sort of laid out how we wanted to do it. And that was between 2014 and 2015 was like the figuring it out, writing stuff down, thinking about things, how we wanted to do them, what was so terrible that made me want to leave an agency.
What was it?
Well, it was just poorly run, toxic, too pressured, not enough reward from the agency on the people that were delivering the work. The service that was being delivered to clients was subpar, but yet they were getting charged 5 times more than they should have been.
Yeah.
I mean, the list goes on and on and on.
Classic agencies.
Yes. And then we started setting up, got a couple of clients on board and officially set up, and then went limited and registered everything in July 2015. And then from there, we had a really good idea of how we were going to do it, what we were going to do. And then, 10 years later.
What made you pivot from the fully remote model?
Because I didn't feel like we could build what we wanted to build being remote. And I think that rings true. And I think obviously we've been through COVID as well, which no one saw come in, which forced everybody to be remote. And that's in the 10-year cycle, that's 2 realizations that we've had on the importance of face-to-face.
Yeah. And
one predates everybody else's cycle that was COVID. And I think the value of human to human is immeasurable, really.
For the business output or culture, or both?
Both. I think learning by osmosis is a hugely underrated thing. I think people entering the workforce in 2020 as a new starter, starting in their first role, have landed themselves at a huge disadvantage and given themselves quite a big hill to climb, coming back into a workforce in a office situation, in a face-to-face situation. There's skills that they've missed and there's learnings that they've missed out on. And I feel sort of bad for that cohort of people within that 4 years. But yeah, I mean, you can't, service-based businesses generally will be people-based. So you can't build a service-based business without human interaction and face-to-face and the social side. It's like I've said many times, the holy grail for building a good culture outside of all the douchey stuff is when you find people wanting to spend time with each other cross-department, off their own back, outside of work. That feels like a good baseline and a good fibre for a good culture. And we have multiple people that have formed deep friendships across departments where they're not working with people on a daily basis. You're not sat next to that person yet. You've gelled with them, you've built a relationship with them, and you actively spend time with them outside of your working hours. That feels like a really good measure.
100%, yeah.
And that's something that we've managed to do. And I think had we have been remote, would that have happened? Unlikely. It's all right saying you can do a retreat once a year where everybody gets together and you get the opportunity, but
just awkward, everybody put on a mask at that point, isn't it? Yeah.
Well, there's no depth there, is there? Or realism.
So early on, obviously, one big surprise was suddenly changing from remote to that's not going to work.
Yeah.
What else? What other surprises came along in the first few years that you just maybe hadn't foreseen, maybe had more impact than you expected, maybe didn't fit the perfect business model you had in your head?
We didn't have a business plan as such. We had a way we wanted to operate. We had an idea of how we wanted to do it. We knew that the service that we were delivering was first class at that point. But I think one thing we did do was undervalue our services. And I think also taking or pursuing opportunities that didn't fit due to commercial pressure. Obviously, you're starting out that first 2 years, cash and cash flow and getting money through the door without funding is priority. So I think...
When you say it didn't fit, do you mean like values?
Yeah, like now we're in a position whereby we, where possible, try and align as best we can with clients and people that we want to work with that share the same principles as we do. And that generally will pay us back in longevity in terms of the relationships. I think in those first 2 years, there were situations, pitches, or clients that we worked with that weren't the right kind of clients, but we were pursuing the billings, not the other stuff. Yeah. And everybody's going to find themselves in that situation. I think we we put probably a little bit more pressure on it because we were completely self-funded. We had no outside capital. We'd burnt through the money that we'd used to put the business in motion in the first instance. So yeah, that would probably be something that I think everybody starting a business will experience.
How do you handle it? So like if, you know, the bits that come up that you don't really expect, you know, because I guess there's that priority, isn't there? Especially when it's just the two of you, where it's balancing getting the work done and then dealing with the actual business side of stuff as well. How do you do that in the early stages?
The first year was easy.
Okay.
Because there was only me.
Yeah.
And then there was Jamie. And the excitement and the drive was just built in. So doing the 16, 17 hour days, it was good.
Yeah.
There was also we weren't putting bread on anyone else's table at that point.
Yeah.
So the pressure in terms of not eating didn't matter. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
Whereas I would say like after we'd employed people, there's different kind of pressure. Like cash flow then really becomes something that you have to forecast forward, you have to pay attention to, you have to worry about, because you've got to pay your staff.
Yeah.
You can't find yourself in a position where you can't pay staff. And I remember once, I think we were about 4 people at that point. We were owed a lot of money, like 30 or 40 grand. And it was delayed by about 6 weeks or something like that. And I can remember paying wages. I was in South Africa at the time. I was paying wages in South Africa, and the bank balance was like, after I'd paid everybody, it was like, there was fuck all in there. It's like, if we have another payment, or if we have to pay for anything else right now before this money comes in, we're in a bad spot. Fortunately, money came in time, but those kind of situations that are difficult. They're difficult to rationalize, and it sometimes feels like you're like backed into a corner. You've got nothing, no levers to pull to try and get yourself out of that situation.
Was that a surprise then, the not guaranteed payment by dates? Because obviously that's actually pretty common in our industry, that people don't pay stuff on time.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, I guess you've probably seen that side of it before in agencies, but maybe not from the point of view of watching the bank balance change.
The difference is, like, working in agencies, you don't have a conscious thought about it. It's like I worked in other agencies, and you're there, you go in, you do your work, you work hard, whatever. You have no idea what cash flow looks like, or the pressure that the finance team are under.
Yep.
Or the trouble that could potentially just be a week or 2 away. It's a lot.
Did that surprise you?
Didn't surprise me, no. But you're never going to get it until you're in it.
Yes. Yeah. Until you've got that.
It's not to be underestimated, but it's something that I think is so difficult to convey. Unless you go through it, you don't really know.
Yeah. Was there ever a moment you thought about not doing it?
No.
Early stages, no?
No. And there was no plan B either.
That or nothing.
It was, this is going to work. And the thing is, like, how old was I? I spent maybe 6 or 7 years prior to that whilst working, doing all sorts of other stuff. I'm going to go at this, I'm going to go at that. So at the time when we decided to properly go after it and set Flaunt up, I got rid of everything. All the other side projects, all the other bits, I wound everything down completely and just put that at the top of the pyramid. And I was like, right, that's it. This is going to work. This is how I'm going to do it. And there was no alternative.
So we've talked briefly about culture. How do you think your view of what a good agency culture has changed over 10 years? Because the way culture in businesses has changed massively just over that time, and the way everybody operates, is significantly different. But how have you seen it change?
It's changed a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the key things is people, because culture's been thrown around and companies are becoming more transparent about that kind of thing, that's meant that employees are also coming into businesses with an expectation.
Yep.
And I think there's a lot of people that haven't had a shit environment either. We've been guilty, I think, at probably the midpoint of Flaunt, of overdoing it, I think. Going a bit too far with what we're trying to push and what we're trying to put on the table, and finding the balance between building out the right environment in the right way whilst maintaining the importance of the output, which drives everything that's underneath it. And I think we've perhaps fearfully bent in certain ways that we shouldn't have in the past.
As in giving too much?
Yeah. And it's sometimes felt at points that it wasn't reciprocated, whereas now I think what we've done is we've refined how we've gone about everything. We've refined the benefits, we've refined the expectation, and we've also changed the way that we communicate in that respect. I think people are a lot more balanced in expectation, both output and what they can ask of the business within reason and how realistic things are. And I think, yeah, the first half of the 10 years would be us just almost just catering and bending to everyone's whims.
Was that a bit of, so when you're saying people were asking for things regardless of their output, they all just expect it, was that lack of consequences?
Perhaps, yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of structural things, and I think it's growing pains as well. Like, you've got culture first or people first mindset, so that's the most important, and that hasn't changed. It's just, I think the guardrails and the processes that sit alongside everything now has much improved. It's got better. We've become a little bit more grown up about how we communicate things, and I think there's a clear line in the sand. Like, there's processes for disciplinaries.
Yeah,
we didn't have that.
Yeah,
5 years ago. There's clear steps and clear support systems that have been put in place that reinforce the output that's required. And it's like, agency's hard at best, but the climate for the last 4 years is fucking really hard.
Yep.
The economy, the squeeze on budgets, the measurability of what we're doing, everything's become more difficult. Retention's become more difficult. Employee retention's become more difficult. So I think the requirements to succeed have also become more difficult.
Yep.
And I think we've done a really good job in the last sort of 5-6 years of arriving at a point where we've still got an amazing environment. The people are still first, but everybody also knows what's expected and what is needed to keep the wheels turning. And
what they're responsible for. What's the biggest hiring mistake you've made?
Not firing fast enough.
I knew you were going to say that.
Not hiring. Hiring is tricky. You can refine it, put a process in front of it. You can do a questionnaire. You can do a task. You can do a 4-step process. You can do everything. Doesn't matter. You're never going to know until people sat down, and I think the truth becomes evident quite quickly of whether you've made the right hire or not. The difference is letting bad people bleed into good people and underestimating the impact that those ripples have.
What's made you hesitate then on firing people? Is it that thought of, they might get better?
It's the same attitude as what I was just discussing around the culture. It's like, my inherent reaction is to fix put a solution in place and support. And I think it comes up probably a little bit with experience, being able to look at a situation and make that judgment call quickly and kindly. And some people are just not the right fit for the business. It's not necessarily all on the person either. Businesses operate in a certain way. You need to make sure that people are adding value and not negatively affecting everybody else.
So if you were talking to somebody now that's actively hiring, what steps would you be looking to put in place to help find a culture fit as well as a skills fit?
I think I'm less interested in skills, because I think if you're going to come in and you're going to tell me you can do something, I'm going to know very quickly if you can't.
Mm-hmm.
But yet you've embellished.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more focused on the person's drive, I think, is important, and whether they're going to be disruptive.
Yep.
And there's two sides to that, like disruptive in a good way
mm-hmm.
and disruptive in a bad way. And I think that the more people you have within a business, the better idea you have of who can click into place. And we've made hires faster, we've made hires slow, and both yield the same results. I think it's having a good understanding of the environment helps.
Yep.
But it's a dark art. Hiring is very, very hard work, and like you can refine your processes and you can refine what that looks like, and it helps. I'm not saying that refining your process and figuring out ways to get to the answers that you need quicker is a bad thing at all. But I don't think you can ever land on a process where it's perfect.
How did you find the point where the hiring process was out of your hands and other people were hiring and you weren't making the decision about who was being brought into the business?
I think it was just a growth thing. Like you hit a certain point. I think I personally hired the first probably 25 people.
I was 25.
Were you?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, well, there you go. Yeah, I'm pretty sure. And then at the point, it's like you get to a certain stage where you're like, right, I've got senior people with like a decade's worth of experience here. If you're not willing to trust the people to build the team and you don't have the confidence in the culture that you've set being carried through, you've got a communication problem. Like you can't expect to have a senior management team that can't then hire in and get people that are going to click into place. Was
it hard though to sit back and go like, I haven't met the person that's coming into the next person that's coming into my business?
We're what, 40 people? I still have to just be like, you can't do everything. I still have the instinct that I want to do everything, literally everything.
Yep.
It's a torment.
Yeah, I feel that one.
But you've got to do it. Like, you've got to trust the people that you've got to do their job as well. Like, everybody's mega capable.
What client? So how do you think client relationships have changed in 10 years?
I think the principles are still the same.
Mm-hmm.
Good relationships are important. Building good relationships is about trust. It's about comms. I don't think that will ever change. I think the economic factors have changed the way that clients have to behave.
And their expectations.
But I don't think the fundamentals have changed.
How do you think, have you personally changed how the client, like from year one, how that client process might look to now? Because there must be learnings and stuff that you've improved upon and things where you've got, actually, that wasn't the right way to do it. Let's do it a better way.
I mean, we've pivoted in the last 3 years to an account management model, which we set out to absolutely push back against, which I think got us where we needed to be quicker than what we would have done had we had the account management structure in place initially. But I also then think, like, resource-wise, the path that we took was more efficient because the cost base on a client service team is high at the start.
Yep.
So that's changed and that's become a requirement, but that means that the emphasis and the importance on client relationships and retention is something that we've paid attention to. And clients have obviously given us feedback. Some clients don't like the account management model. We find that the larger ones do. We're working with larger clients, so we've pivoted into that. Now we've got a team. In terms of when I look back 8 years, random point at the start versus now, I think more emphasis is on that relationship, speed of comms, frequency of comms. We're now starting to push for more face-to-face.
Yep.
Just proper relationship building.
Yeah. Would your ideal client now be the same as it was 10 years ago?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, we're still working with a lot of the ideal clients. Like, I've got a handful of clients that I still have a really good relationship with, that trust us, that give us good feedback on the work that's being delivered, and we have really good working relationships with. So that's my ideal client. It's like, when you get bigger, does your ideal client become big brands? Not really, no. It becomes the clients that come back to you quickly, that respond well to your ideas, that help you get things done.
Fit your values.
That align with your values. I think when you first start out, you're like, oh, I want to work with Apple. But then in reality, you want a business that pays their invoices on time, and you want a client that gives you as much back as you give them.
Yeah. And sometimes it's about giving learnings for the team as well, isn't it? You know, if you've got a client that just wants everything done a certain way, it's not always the best thing, because how do you improve stuff then if you've not got opportunity to change it or try something or experiment?
Yeah, I think every client has their own interpretation of how they want things done.
They do. What about pitching? What's changed with pitching 10 years?
You still have to do it.
Yep.
I think the industry's perception of it is slightly changing, but really, really slowly. In that, a lot of I think most agencies, if you ask them about pitching, they'll have a negative spin on it. In that, the expectation of what's delivered in a pitch is ridiculous, really. But I don't see it going away, and I think it's a necessarily evil for the sector that we work with. I mean, you look at it from their side of the table. How are they supposed to validate a partner? They're going to have to gather some information in some way, and that's probably one of the best ways that you can formulate it into a process. In terms of how it's changed for us, I think we're fucking great at it.
Better.
Yeah. I think the whole thing is just, put us in the room with any other agency.
Do you still enjoy pitching?
Love a pitch.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. It's great.
Yeah. Okay. Is there a project you're most proud of?
Flaunt.
I mean, yes, fair enough.
Flaunt. This place.
Full business.
Yeah.
Okay, well, is there a part of it then that's a part of that bigger Flaunt project that would have been maybe like the most difficult, or the thing that made you go like, do I still want to do this?
I don't think I've ever sat there and thought, it's done. It's not for me. I think one thing that we've done really well is evolve.
Mm-hmm.
I think the services that we're delivering now versus 10 years ago have gone beyond the evolution of the industry into us really figuring out how to deliver the best service and work for the client through tech, through testing, through learning. And I think we've done a really good job of keeping ahead of the curve. And I know that through external validation. There are moments in time where I'm like proud of, I guess.
Yeah.
If I look back over the whole
I'd hope so.
10 years, yeah, there are like, there are always little humbling moments that you try and take stock of.
What was maybe the most challenging bit then? COVID
was very odd. COVID feels like a bit of an out of body experience at this point. Mm-hmm. It was very strange. And yeah, I mean, I think the thing that took the edge off was that everybody was in the same boat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So catastrophizing was the wrong approach because everybody was in the same boat. But that first 2 weeks when everybody got sent home was bizarre. And I remember having conversations with clients as well, and it wasn't what are we going to do? It was, this is weird, isn't it?
What is going on?
But everybody adapted and everybody figured it out.
Was it scary from a business owner point of view?
Well, there were some decisions that were made with unknowns attached to them, like furlough was a weird situation, and like it was a lot of unknown, which is tricky. But yeah.
For leadership, so do you think you lead differently now to the beginning?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I led before. I think my idea of leading when I started the business or in the first couple of years of running the business was never ask anyone to do anything that I can't do in like a manic way.
Okay.
Even stuff that I couldn't do, okay. I would be like, right, I'm going to go do that. I'll do that. And then I'll ask them to do that.
Yeah.
And it was like I think it was a bit fraught.
Yeah.
Whereas one thing I'm much better at is delegating stuff out and letting people own their own shit without consequence or getting involved, and trusting that the output is the output. And I think I've arrived at a point as well where if I was in the same mindset that I was in that first couple of years, I'd be dead now, because worrying about everything and doing everything myself is just not an option when you're at the size that we're at.
Do you think that's what helped you pivot to that different mindset? It's just the growth and the
and trust. I mean, I'm fortunate enough to be surrounded by amazing people. Like I trust everybody in the business to do what they're here to do. But I think, I don't know, maybe there's a bit of validation that from my perspective in that as well, changing that mindset, trying to make sure that everybody knew that I knew what I was doing.
Yeah. What do you think you're still figuring out?
I don't know whether I'm always learning. I don't know whether it's figuring out. Like the operational side of the business has changed tremendously in terms of how we look at figures, for example. Like the nature on how we report has changed. The scale in which we're at now is completely different. It's like, that's been a big learning curve. Operating a business at this level versus keeping a business going when you first step up is completely different. So yeah, I would say it's a constant learning curve.
Good. You'd hope so. Isn't all of life?
Yeah.
Sure. So, if you go back to Flaunt day one, what do you think you tell yourself?
That's a tough question. What would I tell myself? Having the knowledge that I have now?
Yeah. So doing 10 years of Flaunt, you go back to day one and be like, look, this is my advice. This is what I'd say to
you. I don't know whether I'd have any different advice, because I think the mindset that I had at the time was necessary to get to the next point, and also then the learnings that come with it are the lessons. I don't know whether me now looking at me then and going, this would have been beneficial, because it would have blurred the view that I had.
You wouldn't even just go back and be like, you're still here in 10 years, just so you know.
No, because that might change the course.
Make you too confident.
Yeah, I think the drive and the naivety at the time was important. You've got to have if you knew, I think you'd approach it differently, and I don't think that would be a good thing.
On day one, in your head, if you'd said, if someone had said to you, where do you think you'll be in 10 years? What do you think you'd have said?
I don't know. I'm not very good at that. I'm not very good at looking that far forward. I'm not very good at looking back either. I'm very
what's now?
Immediate and short-termist.
Well, you might not like this question then. What about the next 10 years?
The next 10 years are going to be interesting and exciting. I think we're at a point, we're in the early stages of a new technology that's impact is, I don't know, 10 times bigger than the internet itself. I think the realization of that probably happened about 3 years ago for us. So we're very well positioned to expand into that, which means it's going to be exciting.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be different, but I think the goal aligns with the principles of the business and the way that we're viewing the emergence of this technology that's going to change everything. Is still very people first, which is probably a counterintuitive narrative versus a lot of people.
Yep.
You hear a lot about people being replaced, job loss,
yep,
all this kind of stuff, and we're not naive to that. But the outcome that we're looking for, that we're trying to steer the business towards, is bigger impact for clients, better efficiency for the team, more turnover for the business, higher salaries for the staff.
Do you want a quick fire round?
Yeah.
Okay. What's harder, hiring or firing?
Depends. I've got two answers to that. I think now I would say hiring. 5 years ago, I would have said firing.
Data or instinct?
Instinct. Instinct. I'm trying to think about applying it. Like, data is gospel, but if it's not right, it's a catastrophe. So instinct in front of data.
Okay. Culture fit or talent?
Cool. Culture fit.
I don't even know why I asked.
Yeah.
People or process?
people
just
with process.
And last question, would you do it all again?
Yeah, I think I would. Yeah.
Nice. That's it. My interview is complete.
Good. Yes.